Hey YouTube people, today I wanted to take a look at the Performance Model 3 and Model 3 in general, and how to rotate a summer and winter tire. Now, when you have the performance upgrade package like this vehicle does, as you can tell by the larger rotor and red caliper, there's a few issues with winter having this type of setup. And the first is the tire that comes stock with the car is the Michelin Pro Sport 4S. And the manufacturer literally says, do not use this tire at near freezing temperatures. And so anything below 40 degrees and you really don't want to be using this tire. Obviously you can probably get away with it. You're going to be okay in dry conditions. But they literally say that you can break down the rubber compound of the tire if you try to do that. So they don't recommend that you do that at all. So normally you'd want to rotate your winter and summer tires from Halloween to Easter. Roughly, it's the mid-October. I may be doing this a little bit early, but we do have a cold front coming in, and the temperatures are going to be in the 30s in the mornings when I do my commute. So I wanted to go ahead and get a winter tire on there. So the second issue with winter tires on the Performance Model 3 is Tesla sells two winter tire packages for the Model 3. Neither of them are compatible with the Performance Upgrade package, unfortunately. The only one that would be compatible is the tire set, the 20-inch tire set, but they only sell that with summer tires. So maybe we could work something out with the service center, but if you wanted a second set of wheels, Tesla certified wheels from them, they do not have a winter package currently, October 2018, available for the Performance Upgrade package. So you're kind of stuck with something aftermarket. So what I ended up doing was getting this tire. This is T-Sport line, TST 18-inch, and it includes the entire package of the Tpms, the tire. It's got Pirelli winter tires on it, and it's built to fit the Performance Upgrade package. It's got a 3mm lip milled into it so it fits appropriately, and it has enough clearance for the brake caliper. So this is a great option, and I got that on special, so it ended up being fairly cheap. Not as cheap as the Aero winter option, but that wouldn't work with this car anyways. So that's kind of where we're at. But the reason it's really nice to alternate winter and summer tires is the fact that you're going to be able to rotate your tires at the same time. Most people drive 10 to 12,000 miles a year, and if you rotate or swap your tires at roughly 6,000 miles, which is roughly what you're going to be doing in a winter-summer interval, that gives you a great opportunity to move this rear left tire to the front right, and you have a second set of tires, so you know what you're doing. So for example, when I take this summer tire off and replace it with the winter, I'll mark this tire and I'll mark it as rear left. And then when summer rolls back around, I can then put that tire up on the front and I'll have labeled it so I'll know which tire was which. So, and you can do that every cycle. So when you get your winter tires on, you'll do that same cycle. When I pull the winters off, I'll label them where they were on the car and then do a swap both on side and front to back. And that's a really effective method of rotating your tires, getting the most of the tread on your tires in general. So the other cool thing about this is someone's like, man, I don't want to pay for two sets of wheels. Like, wheels are expensive, tires are expensive enough. But really, your tires are going to last twice as long if you're using a winter-summer setup versus just a single set of all seasons. So that actually helps out. You're actually going to prolong the life of each set because you've got two sets that you're alternating. So in the end, it should kind of even out. You'll have to buy tires less often but you kind of have to buy this set up front. So it is a trade-off, but it's a really nice way to have a good schedule for tire rotation. And if you're handy and like doing things to your car and minimizing the amount of touches you have by service people in general, and because you care about your car, I mean, I've always had good experience, especially with Tesla service, but you know, if you don't want, you trust yourself, you don't trust other people, which that's kind of how I am, and you like doing this kind of thing yourself, it really makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be needing here. Okay, so these are the types of things that you're going to need to make the swap. First of all, a heavy-duty jack. This is a 3.5 ton service jack. Is probably a necessity to have a jack that is capable of supporting the weight of the car. I've got a tire iron here, and this tire iron is 21 millimeter, which is the size that you want for the wheels or the bolts on the Tesla. And you'll notice that the end of this I've covered in tape. And the reason that I've done that is I don't want to damage my wheels. So I put a little bit of tape on there that should soften any blows as I'm twisting it off, just so it has a soft surface to work with. The next necessity is a torque wrench. So we should be using 129 foot-pounds of torque on these bolts in the Model 3. And you really need a torque wrench to be able to judge that you have your tires sufficiently tightened, not over tightened. It's really important, especially on an electric vehicle that has a ton of torque. You just want to be able to make sure you're doing this correctly. You'll also want an extender and then a socket, a 21 millimeter socket, to help you tighten those down to the right specification. This is a wheel trim remover tool unique to the Performance Upgrade package, and that's used to pull the cover off of the wheel. So that comes with the car and is in your glove box. So that is a necessity with this wheel set. And then you'll want something like this. I've got a few different styles that I've seen of this. I actually had one that I really liked, and word of warning, the one I had was magnetized, and it's really easy to put up underneath there into the socket that's meant for a mounting point, and it's easy to forget it's there, and since it's magnetized, it sticks there, and then you drive your car away, and then it falls off in the road somewhere, and you don't have a jack point adapter anymore. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is go right ahead and show you where this goes on the bottom of the vehicle. So you can see there's a little hole right there, and this little adapter fits right up into there, and it fell off. But that is something you want to make sure you use. You do not want to jack this up anywhere else, and you want to have a jack adapter because you don't want to damage the battery. That would be the worst thing that you could do. So we've got our mount point set up, and we'll just go ahead and start jacking up this tire just a little bit. And my jack just barely fits right up underneath there. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of the load off, but not too much, because I still need to unbolt everything, and I don't want the wheel spinning when I do that. So I'm gonna get the jack adapter, not the jack adapter, the wheel trim remover tool. And there's a little hole that you put it into, and then you just kind of pull straight out, and it comes right off. The other thing I should mention is what I've done with my new winter tires when I first got them is while I was still waiting around for it to be the time of season to install them, I ceramic coated these. And since they're brand new, it was super easy to ceramic coat them versus cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. You know, you still have to kind of rub it off with rubbing alcohol to get the surface prepped. But after that, it was really easy to ceramic coat this tire, so it's all ready to go, it's cured, and it should be super effective and easy to clean in the winter, and water shouldn't stick to it as much. So really good time to do that when you have the wheel off. And it is probably also a good time, these are ceramic coated as well, but while they're off for the winter season, if you want to do touch up with some additional products, some, you know, C-quartz, reload or something like that, it's easy to hit them up with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get something to hold this camera, and we'll go ahead and swap this tire out. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is use this tire iron to just loosen these slightly so that while the wheel is touching the ground, so I do not have to worry that the wheel is going to spin when I apply force. Okay, now that they're all just slightly loosened, I'm going to go ahead and jack the wheel so that it comes off the ground. And I want to raise it a ton. Some people have mentioned that they don't think that they think you need 2 jacks and you need to lift the front jack point and the rear jack point at the same time to be super safe, but there's no way. That may be true for some other Teslas with a smart air suspension maybe, but I can't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to jack one side slightly off the ground and swap the tire. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to do this if you're using one jack point. I mean, ideally you have a whole shop set up and you've got a whole lift and the car's off the ground, you've got 4-point lift on it, but not everybody has a whole car shop. So, and you really don't need a whole lot of tools. It's not a ton different than any other type of car. I mean, with a $200 investment in tools between the jack and the torque wrench, I mean, it's probably only like $100 between a tire iron and 21mm socket. It's really not a whole lot of investment in tools to be able to do this at home. And in fact, by the time you pay, I don't even know how much the service center charges you, $50 for a tire rotation. Like, by the time you do this twice yourself, you could have paid for all the tools that are required. So I'm just going to pull that off. Super easy. I'll put that into storage. And I'm going to take the new tire, and it should be a fairly tight fit around this caliper. I apologize about the lighting. I live on a fairly busy street, so it's either I open the garage door for lighting and you can't hear what I'm saying because of the traffic, or I keep it shut and you can't see because of the lighting. So anyways, just gonna get that lined up and then just lift it right onto the center hub. And you want to make sure that it's on there straight and tight and center. And And we've got plenty of clearance on that caliper, which is good. Kind of a first test fit in general. And we're already ready to bolt this down. Okay, the next step after getting those bolts on is just to tighten it down until it's snug, and you'll do it in a star pattern. Start with that one, that one, that one, that one. So I've just barely snugged those up so they're tight. The wheel's on, it isn't moving around. So we're good to go there. And I'm just gonna let a little bit of pressure off so that the wheel touches the ground and is not going to spin. And then I'm going to get my torque wrench, and you can see the markings here that maybe I can get that to focus. Maybe not, but there's markings here, and I want to loosen this bolt, and I'm going to move it to 129 foot-pounds of torque. $129. Tighten the bolt down, and I've got my extension bolt. And I'm going to start with one of them and go until I hear it pop, like that, and you stop pushing at that point. And there we have it. The next step is using these wheel cover, these lug covers, also ceramic coated these, but these are very similar to what you find on S and X and the standard Model 3, I believe, to just go right over the bolts to protect them. And these are the T Sportline kit for covers, and I mean, they're nice and they fit great and they look good, but they're $50, and that's a lot. Especially when I found very, very similar covers on Amazon for like $8 and on eBay for like $5. If you get a 21 millimeter cover, you're probably better served doing that versus paying $50 for a little bit of plastic. I mean, it's nice, but I would, if I would have realized that, I probably wouldn't have bought these. I probably would have got the $5 to $8 one off Amazon. So we're done, and that wheel looks great. The last thing we'll do is I'll swap all of the wheels, and then we have to check the Tpms. Everything I've heard about these wheels is that the Tpms is just going to recalibrate itself automatically without having to do anything. You'll also want to check your tire pressure, but other than that, you should be set up and good to go. So I just wanted to quickly show you two things. First of all, just some masking tape marking which tire that this came from. That's all you need. And also the other thing is how awesome
these tires look. These wheels look, sorry. I'm really digging it. So they're all installed. And I think it looks pretty good. Now let's see if the TPMS loads up correctly. Okay, so I literally have just put the tires on. I have torqued them down. I checked the air pressure, set them all to 42, and I'm driving it for the very first time. And let's go ahead and see if my PSI just shows up. I'm also listening for any issues with the wheels. They sound good so far. It's riding fairly smooth. I think those 20-inch wheels with Michelin's. Well, maybe I shouldn't say anything yet, but I almost feel like the Michelin's on the 20-inch tires were actually a little bit smoother of a ride, but it could just be in my head. I don't really drive with music on. So normally the wheels would have shown up in terms of PSI at this point. So there must be some sort of calibration time where it's probably thinking, hey, I see some wheels, but they're not the ones I'm used to. So maybe I need to drive a certain amount of miles before they show up. So I'll keep an eye on that, and I'll let you know once they show up. I'll drive a few miles here. Okay, so this just popped up. It says we've detected new wheels on your car. Please choose the new size. So I'm going to say 18. So I don't know what that's going to do, but I now have PSI set up. Now what I want to check is see if and reset. So what I want to do is check and see if that like literally changed the look of my car. No, it didn't. Okay, I was worried it would change my wheels. I don't know what that means when I ask for 18, 19, or 20, because it really shouldn't matter too much, because I mean, in general, even the different wheel size, it still has the same diameter. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but I think I probably did the right decision setting it to 18 inches, because that's literally what the wheels are. So let's just let's go with that. But one thing I'll have to check is my PSI on that rear left tire seems a little high. I set them to what I thought was the same. So it might be that wheel was either let down on the ground a little weird with the jack. So maybe I'll just go double check that. Or the TPMS might be slightly off on that wheel. So all in all though, that was pretty easy. I'm glad I caught that on film so everyone could see that. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Lots of Model 3 videos and all sorts of other stuff to come. Thanks.